Hi chess friends, this is King's Executor, and today was a very emotional day for me because I played the last game ever at my chess club. So this is the last game of my last season, and I'm retiring practically from official matches. And today's game was a very instructive one for me. I had the white pieces and I had an opponent. It was a young girl, maybe 17 years old, and she was practically a beginner, but she, in my opinion, played better than my strongest opponents, which played for decades. So I played, of course, my favorite opening. She responds with c5. This is no Grand Prix attack whatsoever. This is the bird's Leningrad. And she played the moves very quickly. She just built up her setup. And this is the first move I have to start to think, because you can do many different things. You can play c4 to block out the queen of any check, but I don't want to play this way. I don't want to play this way because I have other plans with my pawns. I want to play d3 and e4 at best, if possible, so I don't want to touch this pawn if I don't have to. If I want to touch and move it, I would probably prefer c3 to get control of d4, blocking bishop and knight out of the center. I want to make use of that queen. This discovered check doesn't threaten anything, so I played knight a3. Of course, I'm intending to go to c4, gaining a tempo on the queen. Of course, I saw that bishop takes pawn is no good. There are two moves, rook b1, and even stronger, knight c4, and well, that bishop is lost. So let's drop back. Instead she played knight f6, and I had my free move here, queen c7 and d3. So I'm building up my pawn structure as I wanted. And in this position, of course, there are different approaches. Beforehand I was thinking about moves like b5, kicking my knight and starting to advance the queenside pawns in conjunction with this bishop, which is a good idea for black, but he should of course castle soon here. But then simply knight to e5, and the best move here is probably bishop b7. Let's just drop back. If black would take on e5 in this position, we can take with the pawn, gaining a tempo on the knight, and now there are tactics if your opponent doesn't play perfectly, and this is already a better position for white. Two moves. One is knight g4, attacking the pawn 3 times, then h3, and the knight actually shouldn't take this pawn because of takes, queen takes, and bishop f4. This is a thematic move in such an exchange in the center, and the best moves are queen takes pawn, rook b1, and you see that rook was hanging on a8. Let's drop back to this position. So if knight takes pawn isn't possible, knight h6, but that is answered by bishop f4 again, and if e6 to keep that bishop out of the game, queen c1 is very strong, attacking the knight twice. So knight to f5, g4, knight e7, and now you see black king the black king is still stuck in the middle, and I think this position should be winning for white. Let's drop back to this position. Is there another move? I think we got all, yes. So bishop b7 would be best here, and then you can decide what to play next. You can play c3 even. Yes. Okay, let's drop back. My opponent didn't play b5. Instead, she castled, and I advanced pawn to e4. Of course, I was thinking a lot about the variations. I was thinking about d5 foremostly, because this is a ambitious and forcing move. And well, if you want to play an easy game, you should take that pawn. Knight takes, rook e1, rook e8, knight e5, takes, and bishop e6. This looks like a good position for both players, and I don't think that there's much for either side. Let's drop back. If that's too much of a calm position, you can try to complicate matters with knight back, and if takes, and well, it seems like this pawn is lost on e4, but queen d5 attacks knight and pawn, and the pawn is regained here. Well, white has control of e5 for now, but he has to look how to develop his queen side. He can play c3, the knight should get out of the way, and then the bishop can get out, and then the rook can get out. But my opponent played a calmer move, d6. Well, why am I showing you this game? This game is a typical game for the black players, well, and for the white players, of course. This is a typical response to one f4 from black. So you have to know how to play these positions. What are the ideas? I played knight to e3 because now b5 was coming and black is castled, so I don't want to give him any time. This knight is controlling f5, and with the knight here, f5 looks strong. Maybe we don't even have to put the knight on h4. We don't have to touch this bishop early in the bird's Leningrad. It can be used in one go after pushing those pawns, maybe h3, g4, and f5, and at the right moment with the queen coming here, and then imagine the queen here, the bishop can come here in one go. This is maybe a little bit messy here, but this bishop can very often play an important role, and you don't have to waste time by playing bishop d2 to connect rooks, because connecting rooks in this opening is a little bit slow. You have to play with these pieces. They are more active to compensate the dormant rook here. So let's go on with the game. Now she started playing beginner's moves, in my opinion. It's not losing, but it doesn't contribute very much to a black plan. She played knight g4. It's an okay move, but well, I just played knight d5 because that knight controlled d5, and now I just can gain a tempo on the queen, Now I can gain a tempo on the knight. Knight back to f6 and knight back to e3. Well, just compare this position and this position. So it looks like black has gone backwards and white has gained a move. It's like white having gained two moves because the queen went back. So this is why, let's go back to this position, this sequence of moves is no good for a human player. For the engines it's absolutely equal, but I think that this just increases white's chances over the board. Knight h5 to now attack the g3 pawn, which is weakened by this h3 push. This is thematic by black, but it doesn't lead him anywhere normally, except in this game, because I misplayed very hard. I played queen e1, which is correct. Let's drop back. I don't want to play king h2. This is possible, but I want to push the pawns. And now this king might be on a very soft diagonal here, and I don't like that. I find the king very often very safe on h1, and the queen protecting the g3 square is good because the queen wants to go to h4 or to g3 anyway after pushing g4 at the right moment. Enough talk. Knight d4. So black's position looks decent. It looks decent. This knight is doing a good job protecting that c2 pawn because that queen is no longer on d1 protecting it. And there is no way to dislodge or to deflect that defender of c2, so this knight is a good piece. And this knight is a good piece as well. In this position I simply should have taken that knight. And if pawn takes, which is surely the better move for black, then knight g4, preparing to push e5, activating this bishop's diagonal down that board. I like such thematic pawn pushes very much. If queen c7 attacking c2, then queen f2, bishop d7, d7 connecting rooks, and now e5. If takes, takes. Well, that knight is very nicely in the center. This knight is kind of awkwardly placed. What is it actually doing there? And that knight shouldn't be taken off, because if queen takes, g4, well, now this bishop is uncontested and very strong. And it controls the d3 square, so that the queens cannot be exchanged, and white's attack is massive in my opinion. The rook comes to e1, gaining a move on the queen, and white is simply pushing down that kingside pawns, and it's very difficult. Well, if that rook is taken, we gain the exchange, and if the rook goes somewhere else, say rook here, then already g5, we can even, gain this free move, and if queen here, now g5 is even stronger, and if knight here, now we can take that pawn because that rook got out of the way. So I should have taken, the knight on d4. The other move is of course bishop takes, but then c3. This is worse for black. If she takes that knight on e3, I have the bishop pair and a very nice pawn formation, slowly opening up the game and winning. And if bishop back, I gain the tempo and blocking the central dark square, d4 for the bishop, for the black bishop. And now I can push pawns. Queen g3, and this is the way to go in the bird's Leningrad. I, however, didn't take that knight on d4. I overlooked tactical opportunities for black, and I played knight to h4, preparing f5. Can you guess the move which is very crushing for white? Just pause the video and find black's best continuation. Okay, I hope you tried it. The move is knight takes g3. And I didn't see that move until she played it. Well, no excuses for that. I should have seen that. And I think this is the last trap possible I ever had to face. And I think now every trap in this line for white is covered on this channel. So I think I did a good pioneer's job for you, so you can avoid these typical thematic tactics. Of course, if queen takes knight, simply this fork and the queen is lost. So, and this rook is attacked. Of course, the best move is rook f2. I have only lost a pawn. I have a bad position with knight back. Well, you see that this queen has a hard job getting out anywhere. That knight can be hanging if e5 is played and the queen has a discovered attack, gaining a tempo on the knight. Then the rook has to go to d2 so that the queen covers that knight, and that blocks in that bishop. So it's very difficult here. I didn't want to go in to this because this is a losing position for white, and I try to give myself the best practical opportunities to make something. I played rook f3, offering the exchange on the f3 square. Why would I do that? Well, I was hoping this is what my opponent played, but I was hoping for knight takes f3 check, bishop takes, and the knight on g3 has to retreat, and the only square available is h5. Then I was intending takes, and queen d2, and I was trying to somehow trouble black on the king's side. I think this is still playable. And yeah, it's not easy at all. Of course, I want to try to exchange this defending bishops. I want to get my bishop into the game. I want to try to play king h2 and rook g1, but this is of course easily rebuffed. However, my opponent played a stronger move after rook f3. She played knight g2 e2 check. Very good. And now she took that rook. I recaptured with the knight because in this position the knight on the edge is doing precisely nothing. So I retreated. And knight takes c1, exchanging pieces after having won the exchange. Now bishop takes pawn. This is not my biggest problem, that pawn, because I'm gaining a move on that bishop, and I have an open, semi-open rook file, and this bishop has for one move, for one loss of a move, has to watch over this pawn. So b6 or queen c7 must be played. Queen c7 is not good because of knight d5. So b6 and bishop b7, and then slowly opening up the game, and white is winning this. Black is winning this. Black has a bishop pair in this position. Well, I am in a losing position, and I am playing the weakest opponent I ever played in this last 3 seasons, and I wanted to make use of that and try to give me the chances to win this game by fighting tooth and nail to keep that draw, to keep a draw at least. Of course, this is easily losing for white, but I tried to trouble my opponent, my unexperienced opponent. However, she played, as I said, way better than any of my opponents before. So now, with such a move like bishop h6, you see that she's a weaker player. This is not a losing move, but it gives me more chances. I play queen g3, covering f4. e5, this is very good. I play knight d5, takes. Well, black can take this knight, of course. And, well, I think she was a little bit concerned about these dark squared weaknesses around the king, in conjunction with this pawn. Yeah. So she didn't like to give up that nice bishop for that knight. She played again a weak move here, queen d7, and I immediately see what to play. Of course, I play knight d5 because now this is a juicy square. I want to fork the king and queen. Of course, she sees that. She plays bishop back to g7, so you see that I kind of gained some time improving the positions of my pieces. I played e5 here. This was my last hope. This is a move I had to calculate beforehand. I'm opening up that bishop's diagonal, but I'm intending to take, and then if black takes, retake with the knight and attack the queen on d7, and I was hoping for a tactical shot. Black took this, correct, and I played knight takes e5, and I was so much hoping for a move like queen d6, because, well, at first glance, queen d6 is attacking that knight twice, and the knight is pinned to the queen, and there's no possibility for white to retreat that knight, and at the same time covering that hanging queen. In this position, if let's see, let's go back. If she had played queen e6, then I was intending rook e1, and this is okay. The knight is not dropping because of the same reason which occurred in our position, in the actual game position. She played queen d6, and I immediately played my bone-crushing move. And I want you to pause that video and to find that tactical shot. It's the best tactical shot I ever played, and I don't remember having seen this particular kind of tactical shot ever before. And I was so relieved that my intention came to fruition. The move here is the marvelous knight takes g6. Yes, this is winning for white. White is attacking the rook. White got a pawn and the queen the queens are attacked. Both queens are attacked. And both queens are hanging. In this position my opponent resigned. Let's see why. Firstly, if queen takes knight, then we have check, takes, and queen c7, and this is a very, very strong and winning position. If a6, as the engine suggests, then we can just take that pawn, bishop e6, now rook takes pawn, and queen a7, rook a8, queen b6. You see the queen has many targets, and we have strong passed pawns here, and the queen on this rank is very strong, threatening mate. Let's drop back to this position. So queen g6 doesn't work. What if queen takes queen? Well, then we have the very splendid checkmate here. This is checkmate. So this is why on knight takes g6 my opponent resigned, and having found that checkmate, or that tactical shot, moves before I played pawn to e5. Let's recap the game quickly. I was so happy to find that. So I thought tooth and nail to keep the draw, and you see the typical scheme of this opening and a typical black response with his or her pawn formation. And I was playing perfect moves here. They were all part of my plan. But here I should have taken that knight on d4. Instead I tried to play my plan, but I just ran into these tactics. And I played rook f3, and she played a very strong move here. And now I was trying to trouble black as much as possible. I'm really wondering how such a young, inexperienced player can play stronger than experienced, way higher rated older players. This queen d7 move is maybe intended to simply play queen here, to exchange of queens. But if queen g4 now, then we win the queen with check. So there is no queen exchange, and I can try to trouble black. Well, to play this as black over the board is not so easy when the knights are crawling all over you in the center. And e5 was my last hope. And I knew that this move wouldn't work if queen d6 was good for black. And I just found this very nice crushing move. And I'm really happy to have found that. And, well, I think this last trap, I don't think there's any other trap in this opening possible besides the traps I covered on this channel. So this is a lesson for me, of course, to keep that in mind. And the second point is, I fought tooth and nail, and I tried to play as creative as possible, and it just turned out for me to being able to find the most crushing tactical shot I can imagine. This is my opinion. Of course, Kasparov has so deep sacrifices which are justified by engine analysis for the next 40 moves or so, or even winning. But this tactical shot. To see that, let's just drop back, to see that your knight can take that pawn on g6, and that the queens are hanging. The queens are hanging. The rook on f8 is hanging. And checkmate is coming. Well, if the pawn takes, of course, the queen on d6 is dropping. I think the combination of all these facts makes this the strongest tactical shot for the long term, for the short term winning, which I ever played myself, and I rarely seen comparable tactical shots like this. Of course, we know the smothered mate and so on, but this is different in my opinion, and this is really crowning my last game, my retiring game of my official chess career. Of course, I will do keep on doing videos for you on this channel, and I'm showing you this game even though I didn't play correctly. I misplayed in the middle game, and but this was a lesson for me, and this is why I'm showing you this, and this is why I like this game. It's a lesson for me, and I didn't give up, and I found this beautiful shot. So this is why I really got emotional. I didn't show it, but I really got emotional, and I won a kind of master cup from the master cup of the regional match master, and I scored like well, I played 10 games. I won 9 of them. I drew 1, and I was really hoping to win this game, this last game too, to really crown my best season I ever played. And well, I got my cup. It's a very little cup, but I'm nevertheless very proud of it, because it's showing me that my work in the openings came to fruition, and I beat all of my stronger opponents with this opening, or I had the chance to fight tooth and nail to keep the point or the draw. And this is really a crowning tactical shot for me to finish my official chess career. And thank you for watching this video till the end. I hope you got something out of that game. To my, in my opinion, such an opening like the Bird's Leningrad, and the ideas I'm trying to tell you, these are to me the correct approach and the only approach for the club player who cannot learn all the theory for maybe, for example, 1e4, all the concrete lines of the Sicilian. If you cannot play that, okay, you can play that if you love to play that anyway, of course. But if I wanna be able to learn some concrete things, and I wanna play individual chess, then such an opening repertoire like on my channel is to me the correct approach for the normal club player, for the strong and for the weak club player. And if you're a professional, of course you have different needs. This is something completely different. And I'm really happy to finish off my season with this success, having prepared this very nice opening for white. And I hope you stay with me in the future. Apologies for the long video, but I think it's worthwhile spending that time. Thank you very much.